Grand Rising and welcome to my Monday night Whitehead Alliance update. Well, wow, there's a lot of things to discuss regarding what's happening right now, not only in our country, but also internationally. Now, several things have occurred within the last few days. There's been a third assassination attempt at the Air Force One, and I'm going to be covering that in a little bit at Trump's life. Also, the Whiteheads are orchestrating to put an end to the war with Russia and Ukraine, and I will explain in a little bit, as well as the Iraqi dinar going activating. Okay, and this is good news. This means that the GCR is almost here. A lot of people have been asking me, when are we going to have a global currency reset? Well, it looks like with the Iraqi dinar going online, things are going to be heading towards that direction. And then on top of that, we all know that this last weekend we had a deep state funded, orchestrated No Kings protest. And yes, I do say it was a deep state orchestration. I have all the evidence for that as well. So before I get started with the update, I do want to welcome everyone that's here. Thank you guys so much for being here on this beautiful Monday evening. Today's the 20th of October, 2025. And yes, my friends, we're still on a positive timeline trajectory. And I want to appreciate all of you for being here and everyone that watches this on the replay. Thank you guys so much for being here. I want to extend gratitude to Starcadian, who I see on the chat here. Thank you so much for being here and keeping the high vibe in the chat. Thank you so much, brother. Now, my in-person event is going to be the 22nd of November. And for those that cannot make it, I will be offering a stream for only $100. But this is the thing. It's only for 100 people. Okay. I have a type of Zoom that it only allows 100 people. So for the first 100 people that get the stream on for this 22nd of November, you guys are going to have access to our Cosmic Origin groundbreaking class 2.0. Okay. It's been enhanced. It is an upgraded version of our Cosmic Origin. It's going to be fascinating. We're going to go deep in the rabbit hole. And then for those that make it, of course, you get $20 off, and you get to meet me in person, and you get to ask me questions and interact in person. So prepare to have a beautiful afternoon from 1 to 5 here in Sedona at the Cielo Connection, which is a spiritual metaphysical facility. Now, the link for that is in my website, or cosmicorigin.com. Now, in order to access the stream, you have to scroll down past the Ascension Class 3.0 to access the streaming, okay? For those that want to be there, again, it's only going to be available for 100 people. So there is a limit for the streaming. But for those that come in person, there is no limit. Before I get started, I also wanted to let you guys know that my November courses, I do offer different levels of Ascension classes, are up for grab through my website, our cosmicorigin.com. And for those that have not taken our Cosmic Origin, I would suggest to start with the original or Cosmic Origin. All right. So all that is available through my website, or cosmicorigin.com. And I see Starcadian is posting the link. All right, let's get right into it. So a lot of things are unfolding in favor of the light, even though there was now a third assassination attempt at Donald Trump, but to no avail, my friends. It has been reported by the AMG, alternative news source, that President Donald J. Trump has confirmed an upcoming summit with Vladimir Putin to be held in Budapest, Hungary, a location strategically chosen due to Prime Minister Viktor Orban's strong relationship with both leaders. Now, the announcement follows a productive phone call between Trump and Putin, focused on the possibility of de-escalating and ending the war with Ukraine. Now, Trump's goal is to end the war, of course, and this is also part of the Whitehead agenda, and reassert, of course, international sovereignty and bypassing all those bureaucrats. So the Budapest venue isn't just symbolic, okay? It was orchestrated, and it's being orchestrated by the Whiteheads. And Hungary, the country, remains a sovereign-driven outlier in a globalist-dominated European Union making it the perfect neutral ground for a geopolitical recalibration. Now, there is more to this that was actually transmitted by Commander Valiant Thor, and that has a lot to do with what Trump shared with Putin during his last meeting with him in Alaska. You guys are going to love what I have to say about that. Well, in either case, what we don't know yet about this coming meeting is that Zelensky has not been officially confirmed to attend the summit in person. And then some reports suggest separate bilateral takes may occur. No firm date yet has been published, but reports cite that a 2-week window from the initial Trump-Putin call on October 16, which was 4 days ago. Several European Union officials have criticized Budapest as a location, calling it not appropriate. Further evidence that Trump is sidestepping NATO, right, for this meeting. Now, if Trump succeeds in bringing Putin and possibly Zelensky, which I believe he will, to the table, this will become the most important diplomatic move in the history of the world. Why? Because it'll be bringing peace to Europe, ending all the wars, right? He already brought peace to the Middle East. So now this is going to be the next move assigned to them by the White Hats. Again, Trump and Putin are just representatives of the generals that are operating the international alliance known as the White Hats. This is the next move for them, is to bring world peace. Okay, so if this occurs, and I believe it will, it would actually validate Trump's claim that he can actually stop every war, as stated during his presidential campaigns. And it would also undermine the war profiteers and defense contractors that were apparently bleeding America dry. And it would also prove once again that Trump doesn't need State Department handlers. He negotiates face to face and wins. Okay, so this is a quote from Trump. Peace through strength is no longer a slogan. It is a mission underway. Now, according to Commander Valiant Thor, okay, the plan to end or to prevent the Third World War timeline, which would have been catastrophic, was actually intelligently engineered by the Triple Temporal Alliance, which again has a lot to do with securing the positive timeline. And for those that have been following me for quite some time, you know who developed time travel technology before the military industrial complex did, right? For those that have been following, you know that it was Nikola Tesla and John Trump. Well, behind the visible stage of global politics, Russian President Vladimir Putin, long painted by, of course, Western media as the antagonist, and we all know he's the lions, right, has come to understand that the United States, through its most secretive branch, Space Force, now possesses technology so advanced that any conventional or nuclear war is no longer viable. And this is how the White Hats, or the international, again, alliance or organization, is going to be successful in ending all the wars, okay, because of Space Force. These technologies that derive from quantum field harmonics, dimensional shielding, and plasma-based defense grids have rendered large-scale war obsolete. So this is one of the real reasons why there will be no war. Okay, we, Space Force, we have the upper hand because we have advanced alien technology that is almost 1,000 years ahead of the primitive technologies that are still being used by China and Russia. Let's be real. Putin, aware of this quiet shift in global power, this was one of the things that was actually discussed back in their summit meeting in Alaska, has actually chosen strategy over confrontation. And I know we keep hearing in the mainstream media that the United States is giving Tomahawk missiles over to Ukraine. Guys, that is fake news, okay? Don't buy what you hear in the media. Rather than risking annihilation, Putin has actually aligned his nation towards a cooperative path, despite of what we hear in the mainstream news, engaging in back-channel communications with White Hat operatives within Space Force, who are committed to preserving the Earth's sovereignty. Well, both sides now recognize that a planetary war would actually serve only the remnants of the deep state and their off world handlers, who, by the way, have been eliminated already, right? These are the entities who thrive on chaos, fear, and division. Well, if you're unfamiliar with Nikola Tesla and the Triple Temporal Alliance, um, involving time travel back in the 1930s before the Cabal got in hand. Before the Cabal developed their own time travel, then you should watch my presentation that I gave about a year and a half ago. Okay, so this technology that made this piece possible was not born overnight. It emerged from what insiders are now referring to the Triple Temporal Alliance. And I was the first one to actually bring this to light. Well, this is a coalition of Whitehat time travel operations working in concert with members of the Galactic Alliance. And the reason they're called the Triple Temporal Alliance is because we have the Whitehats operating in all three time coordinates. They're operating in the presence, they're also operating in the future, and they're also operating in the past. They went as far as 2,000 years ago to meet with John the Revelator of the island of Patmos. All right, so these time travel operations were actually conducted not merely across space, but across alternative timelines that once contained catastrophic outcomes for humanity. And this is why I keep saying that we're still on a positive timeline trajectory, because in essence, the Whitehats, with the help of the Galactics, have actually canceled all the negative timelines. So in several of these erased timelines, apparently there was going to be a third world war that occurred. Okay, that would have been a nuclear exchange of massive weapons of mass destruction, artificial intelligence uprisings, and that was part of the plan. By the way, do you think that we're going to fight this war with men, humans? No, they were going to use androids and killing machines. Okay, but apparently it was canceled, and that would have led to total planetary collapse, which was a no-no. Okay, that was a no-no. The Galactic Alliance would have never allowed that. So the Whitehat operatives, equipped with temporal displacement drives and guided by galactic intelligence from Lyra, Andromeda, and even the Arcturians allies, entered those dark branches of reality to reverse the events that led to humanity's extinction. So therefore, we won't have no extinction event. Okay, so by altering key decision nodes, they successfully re-anchored Earth to a positive ascension timeline, no matter what happens. No matter what happens. Okay, where cooperation replaces conflict and technology serves consciousness rather than control. So, Space Force, as it stands, they are the guardians of the new Earth right now. Okay, and so that's why I disagree with all the other truthers that are trying to convince people that 3i Atlas is negative and they're here to invade. Space Force wouldn't allow it. Okay. Space Force true mission extends far beyond national defense. It is the physical manifestation of the Earth's alliance interstellar cooperation, a bridge between human militaries and the galactic alliances overseeing this sector of our galaxy. Its fleets, stationed in orbital and lunar positions, maintain energetic balance grids that prevent rogue nuclear launches, and this is why there will be no nuclear war, and neutralize kinetic or even scalar weapons before they manifest into 3D space. So Putin and the other world leaders have been privately briefed on these capabilities. This knowledge has changed everything. Okay, the realization that no strike, no missile, and no digital warfare can bypass quantum defense systems has forced the major powers to reconsider the old doctrines of deterrence. Deterrence, okay? The game board itself has been rewritten. So, in undoing the apocalypse, right, which is what they call the end, the negative timeline, according to the galactic records, the year 2025, according to the galactic records, the year 2025 was the critical node in which multiple timelines converged. And the negative branches, which is a chain reaction of military acceleration, bioengineering plagues, and AI infiltration, led to a dark age lasting centuries. But through coordinated temporal insertions, thanks to Nikola Tesla, the Triple Temporal Alliance neutralized all those events. So they dismantled nuclear triggers through preemptive quantum interference, and of course the Galactics were also involved. They're, they they resequenced the AI course that would have taken control of global defense networks. And they did about, what, 7 months ago, when the rogue AI was able to take over the entire, you could say, the entire weapons of all the countries. They were able to neutralize that as well. And they also altered consciousness patterns within key leaders, inspiring them towards diplomacy at the very moments that once led to the war. Okay, so they canceled all of that. And in this recalibrated timeline, humanity passed its greatest test. The apocalypse was not merely avoided, it was unwritten. Thank God. Well, the result of these interventions is what seers have called the positive timeline convergence. It is now manifesting as global disclosure, peaceful multipolar cooperation, and an awakening of the collective soul of humanity. Nations once set on coalition courses are finding new common ground as the invincible hand of the White Hats and their galactic counterparts continue to stabilize world affairs from behind the scenes. Now, Vladimir Putin's acknowledgement of Space Force superior countermeasure technology is known. In truth, an acknowledgement of a higher cosmic order, one that transcends weapons and politics. And Putin knows that humanity has entered a new era where consciousness itself is the ultimate defense. And for those that didn't know, this is I'm referring to Putin 2.0. The original Putin was actually taken out in order to have an even playing field, okay? Because if the White Hats wouldn't have replaced him with the good Putin, who's part of the White Hat Alliance, the original Putin would have messed things up for the positive timeline. So this is why they had to replace the original Putin with the version 2.0, who is Alliance. Thank God. So, in short, my friends, there will be no World War III, okay? The dark timelines have been erased. And the guardians of the new era, both human through Space Force, which again is the front of Solar Warden, and our extraterrestrial allies, stand watching over the Earth's destiny. The age of fear is apparently ending, my friends, right? That's why I always encourage you guys to stay away from the fear porn. And it's being replaced by an age of quantum peace. Now, the Triple Temporal Alliance fulfilled its mission to undo the apocalypse and ensure the flowering of a civilization ready to take its place among the stars. So humanity's future is now written in the light. Now, another thing that the Alliance did back when Pete Hegseth convened the meeting of all the generals, admirals, and major key players in military was an arrest. They arrested all the treasonous traitors back in Quantico, Virginia. So, and this, of course, had a lot to do with Trump saying that, we also have to arrest and eliminate the enemy within. Okay. So one of the things that did unfold in Quantico, Virginia, a few weeks ago, was an operation that was quietly coordinated by trusted elements of the White Hat Alliance and strategically overseen by veteran patriot Pete Hegseth. Well, they exposed and neutralized a network of compromised generals and admirals who had long served the interest of the deep state. So that was part of the meeting, by the way. The meeting at Marine Corps Base Quantico was originally, you could say, part as a high-level strategy conference on national readiness and modernization, when in reality, it was a carefully orchestrated trap. Think about it. Okay? Every one of those attendees, several four-star generals, retired admirals, and senior intelligence liaisons had been under discreet surveillance for years. For years. Okay, thanks to Starlink and Space Force. Their communications, investments, and back channel dealings had revealed collusion with globalist power brokers, foreign intelligence agencies, and corporate interests that were tied to the dismantling of the American sovereignty or our Constitution. Well, the gathering represented the culmination of an intelligence sting designed to bring down the shadow chain of command that had infected the Pentagon for decades. When the attendees arrived, expecting classified briefings, they were instead met with sealed indictments, military police, and loyal U.S. marshals working under direct White authority. And the timing of this operation was no coincidence, because days earlier, President Trump had made a cryptic remark during a public address stating that the enemy is not just outside of our borders, but it's also within. Well, those who understood the deeper context knew that this was a signal. Trump's statement was a coded acknowledgement that the final phase of the cleanup had begun, one targeting the highest levels of military and intelligence corruption. Well, for years, the White Hats had known that the globalist network relied on a cabal of compromised officers to sabotage lawful orders, leak intelligence to hostile entities, and redirect defense funding towards covert black projects controlled by the deep state. Well, these figures had sworn oaths to protect the Constitution, yet secretly they pledged allegiance to the transnational elites. Well, as the operation commenced, communications at Quantico were instantly jammed, drones secured the airspace, and naval units of the Atlantic coast enforced a total blackout parameter. The arrests were swift and surgical, conducted under sealed executive authority and supervised by military tribunals that were already in session at undisclosed locations. Well, among those detained were key figures connected to illegal weapons contracts, human transferring of humans, selling of humans, right? Rings embedded in overseas bases, and financial laundering operations rooted through defense subcontractors. Well, the evidence recovered during this raid is said to include encrypted correspondence linking high-ranking officers to globalist think tanks and foreign intelligence circles. Well, the Quantico arrest apparently sent shockwaves through the corridors of power that are still lurking in Washington. For the first time in decades, the rot within the upper echelons of the military was being confronted head on. Loyal officers, many long marginalized or silenced, were finally vindicated. Command was restored to patriots who believed in service to the Republic and not allegiance to the global institutions. So this decisive action marked a historic turning point where the U.S. military, long manipulated as a tool of globalist agendas, and it has been, right? Before 2016, the cabal has been using our military to overthrow national sovereignties and real democracies in installing dictatorships worldwide, guys. Think about it. It's all in my book, The Secret Government, right? So, the U.S. military, long manipulated as a tool of globalist agenda, was reclaimed as the instrument of the people. So they finally cleansed the corruption within our military. The operation restored faith in the armed forces, reminding Americans that honor, integrity, and duty to the Constitution are not negotiable. So the purge that took place at Quantico symbolized more than just arrest. It marked the rebirth of the U.S. military as a force aligned with divine justice and national restoration. So, in the wake of Trump's warning about the enemy within, the White Hat operation proved that light has finally penetrated the heart of the darkness. The world watched as the silent World War turned visible. Quantico will be remembered not as the site of betrayal, but as the birthplace of military redemption. The moment when the republics claimed or reclaimed its sword of truth and the armed forces stood once again under the banner of liberty. Wow. Fascinating report, huh? Now, there is more. Now, there was a sniper, again, a few days ago, there was a third attempt at Trump's life near Air Force One. So President Donald Trump was preparing to depart from Palm Beach International Airport when this, I guess, a suspect sniper nest was discovered near the perimeter with a clear line of sight to Air Force One. According to reports, the Secret Service discovered an elevated hunting stand, commonly referred to as a deer stand, positioned in such a way that it overlooked the exact area where the president boards and exits the aircraft. Although no individual was present and no weapons or suspicion items were immediately recovered, the very existence of the structure in that location was enough to trigger an emergency response. President Trump was rushed to board Air Force One using a smaller side staircase, a strategic move by the Secret Service to reduce exposure. The FBI under Director Kash Patel assumed control of the investigation, deploying a multi-agency team and initiating advanced forensic and intelligence collection, including cell phone data analytics, satellite geofencing, and drone surveillance. The sniper's nest at Palm Beach is the third known assassination plot against Trump in the last year, each more methodical than the last. And apparently this is a pattern, and this is warfare, and yet the media is not talking about this, of course. But the FBI, the DOJ, and the Secret Service have launched a joint investigation in investigating this other attempt that took place in the last few days. Forensic teams were actually deployed on site. Evidence collection is underway. No suspects are currently in custody, and investigators are now examining cell tower data, geofencing around the stand, potential burner phone activity, and surveillance footage and trail cams in that area. Authorities believe that the structure may have been built in advance, possibly over the course of multiple nights. The sniper stand was stable, camouflaged, and structurally sound. Not a random setup. Very well calculated, apparently. Well, this was apparently a premeditated act, guys. Independent journalists, including Kyle Becker, are connecting the dots between those violent threats and the incendiary rhetoric pushed by the radical left. Particularly dangerous as the No Kings rallies, and I'm going to cover that in a little bit, funded and promoted, of course, by the Democratic-linked activist groups. These rallies portray Trump as a dictator, a king, and a fascist, and they create emotional fuel for violent extremism. Well, Becker argued that this type of messaging doesn't just polarize, it radicalizes. It gives mentally unstable individuals perceived justification to act out in violence. So he drew directly comparisons to the Ryan Ruthel case, where a would-be assassin built a similar sniper bench at a Trump golf course, if you guys remember that, and an eerie mirror of what happened near Air Force One in the last few days. Oh, well, apparently Trump has now more protection due to that incident. Now, also, the Iraqi dinar is now officially live on Bloomberg terminals and global trading systems. This is the beginning stages of the GCR, right? Complete with bid asking pricing. So for years, of course, we've been waiting for this, but today, apparently it's been vindicated, my friends. This leap means that The dinar is no longer just a physical note. We're talking about the Iraqi dinar for those that are just jumping on. It is someone's drawer. It is a globally recognized asset, monitored in real time by institutions and governments. Major banks are now rewriting international or internal rather trading models, adjusting to the new pricing structure of the Iraqi dinar. Compliance departments are scrambling. Regulatory teams are activating dormant RV contingency protocols because the game has changed overnight. Now, this is the point where the elite is losing control and the people are gaining leverage. The entire market is being forced to recognize what was once considered a conspiracy, right? A currency long suppressed is now being traded live in the open. So the Iraqi dinar market entry isn't clean, it's messy. Its pricing is erratic, its spreading are wide, and liquidity is very partial. Early trades show inconsistent fills and unstable volume, all unexpected. True price discovery takes time, especially when billions are being moved behind the curtain. Financial analysts are warning about initial volatility, and rightly so. But that volatility is also a smokescreen, keeping the average investor on the sidelines while institutions scoop up the volume. The integration of the Iraqi dinar into global systems isn't just about Iraq, it is about a global monetary reset. Nisera Gesera, that's where it's all leading to. So, new platforms, new rules. Central banks are watching and they're collapsing as this is happening. Sovereign debt structures are being re-evaluated. Nations are questioning their USD dependency. The fact that the Iraqi dinar is live now doesn't just empower Iraq, it challenges the dominance of the globalist fiat regime. It's a crack in the dollar wall, and Soros and the cabal know about this. Well, this market is uncharted. Investors must be vigilant, uneducated, rather educated, not uneducated. They must be educated and strategic. Okay. So, and most importantly, these are the real signs to watch out for as we are heading towards a global reset, economic reset. Okay, exchange center updates. Central banks are going to be collapsing or absolved into the new system. Trade deals in the dinar, and of course, rate confirmation. So that is great news, my friends. That is great news. Now, I also wanted to say that what happened over the weekend, right? No Kings protest was apparently funded. It was a funded operation designed to look like public outrage while advancing a pre-scripted takedown of the only man standing between the global elites and full spectrum control. And that's Mr. Trump, okay? Our president. So from October 18 until today, the chaos hasn't even stopped, my friends. And let me tell you guys, I live in Sedona. I thought this was a red state. As I was driving down to go do my local, my local things, right? Groceries, whatever. The entire streets were filled. I would say about thousands of people were marching with, gay banner flags, the rainbow flags, and just signs hating on Trump. And it was horrible. Anyways, I still had a chance to wear my MAGA hats uh, in the middle of danger, but that's just because I'm just a brave guy. And nobody said anything to me, of course. But this is not an organic thing. Okay, this is not organic. Apparently, there is evidence that the funding did come from Soros. Over 2,700 cities apparently flew up, were flared in protest. The media was saying that there was over 7 million, but the truth of the matter is that they're lying. Okay, it wasn't even over 7 million people. But when you track the organizers, the people behind these protests, you land at the same address, and that is the globalist non-government organizations, the NGOs, which are what? Soros-funded shells connected to the WEF, Coordinated Fronts, the World Economic Forum. See, when it comes to these protests, all roads lead to the globalist and U.S. intel assets that apparently turn domestic manipulators into these things, okay? This was phase one of a controlled escalation designed to provoke federal response, destabilize state sovereignty, and trigger international condemnation of Trump's constitutional executive actions. Well, there was no surprises, okay? Flyers were ready. They planned this months ago, my friends. They planned this months ago. Flyers were ready. Hashtags were tested. Paid influencers were given pre-written posts. Protest gear was shipped in bulk, not just to New York or LA, but to secondary and tertiary cities that were turned out locked, spontaneous, but was logistically pre-coordinated by the far left. Okay, and it was sickening. Again, this Saturday, as I was driving down the road and I was watching all those liberals protesting against Trump on No King's Day, I just about barfed. All right. And apparently, it was revealed to me that a lot of these people were under mind control. A lot of these frequencies were actually coming from those 5G towers. All right. So those 5G towers were playing a huge role in that protest. These people were literally under mind control. And I wouldn't doubt it if a lot of that was due to the fact that they took that and the boosters and then, think about all that graphene in their body that was taking over their minds. Well, signs were actually made from the same printers used to previous regime change attempts overseas. The designs matched templates used during the Arab Spring, Ukraine's Euromaidan, and even pre-CCP operations in Hong Kong. This wasn't activism, my friends. This was a color revolution attempt on U.S. soil, rebranded for a confused American audience. The sign said no kings, but the puppeteers behind the scenes served global royalty, the unelected kind that we, the Alliance, are trying to expose. Well, Portland, Oregon was long been a testbed for fifth generational warfare. And this week, it served as the flagship psychological campaign site. Now, thousands gathered in inflatable frog suits and ponies. I mean, it was pathetic. Some of these liberals were dressed up as Barney the dinosaur, pink little elephants, and they were walking around in their suits with rainbow flags. And I'm thinking to myself, what is this? Is this the clown show that I'm witnessing? It was horrible, guys. Actors performed street plays depicting Trump as a blood-soaked monarch ruling with an iron crown. None of this came from civilians, okay? It came from behavioral influence teams embedded in non-government organizations like Avast, Open Society, and the United Nations art activism branches. The goal wasn't just to spread chaos. It was ritualistic shaming, warfare through humiliation designed to demoralize patriots and rally the uninformed around a false narrative. Well, even the music was a psyops, okay? Tuned. It was all orchestrated. AI generated audio loops tested for emotional agitation, broadcast from portable speakers hidden in protesters' backpacks. And this was data driven, emotionally engineered, not free expression, but orchestrated by the deep state. Well, the real footage that they don't want you to know, okay, guys? DHS whistleblowers leaked that in over a dozen cities, cell towers were geofenced to collect protesters' biometric profiles, not to arrest them, but to identify and blacklist any agitators who weren't following the script. And I do remember seeing that there was a lot of police officers parked in certain street corners during this protest. So that makes a lot of sense. Okay. Even within the protest, anyone who went off message, anyone who said this feels staged, or why are we copying tactics from Belarus, was isolated digitally. Several were detained, and four are now missing. Chicago, local leader questions Soros ties. Removed from live stream, never seen again. A local leader that was questioning Soros was never seen again. Okay. In Phoenix, BLM organizers exposing foreign funding were completely silenced mid-interview, and then they disappeared into federal events. Okay. In Atlanta, anonymous whistleblowers warns of facial mapping recognition through the cameras, redacted, of course, and then they disappeared. Twitter accounts were gone. Well, the regime is not tolerating deviation. We're talking about the deep state here, okay? This is a military grade crowd control in civilian clothing. And yeah, that was horrible, guys. Even here in Sedona, which I used to think this was a red state, was full of these protesters. And like I said, even in the midst of these protesters, I still went about my day with my mega hat, and I didn't care. Nobody said anything, and nobody challenged me. I was just doing my own thing. So, as you guys know, January 6th was the setup, okay? October 18 is the sequel. And just like last time, the media is on standby with pre-drafted narratives ready to publish the second Trump reacts. Now, they apparently want patriots to panic, right? They want civil war. Let's just be real here. That's what these liberals want. They want civil war. And they want to federalize martial law so that they can invoke international resolutions under the United Nations Compact on Restorative Governance, which is a treaty that was never ratified, and apparently it goes against our Constitution, but already being used as leverage in global courts. So funding flowed through. Okay, there was apparently this whole thing that happened was organized months ago. And there is evidence that the funding came from open society foundations, or 78 million allocated to anti-authoritarian mobilization in North America. Tides Foundations, okay, funneled cash through regional justice centers in college towns. Ford Foundations, and of course the World Economic Forum task forces offer data support and global media coordination, including Reuters, AFP, and Vice. So communication nodes traced to the European Union-based proxies were also discovered. Chinese platforms were amplifying the message, by the way, the CCP, and buried in the network data were or are three-letter agency that starts with a C and ends with an A, and MI6 linked shell accounts handling operational logistics through encrypted project management tools. So the next phase is what they call the escalation and false flags. So apparently this might just get a little worse before it gets better. You know, it seems like all this is gearing towards some sort of a final clash between the Republic and the globalist, or the deep state, towards the end of the year. Oh, look at my little Rue. He is Superman. We got him a little Superman outfit. So Rue is Superman. He's a little Superman character. Thank you. All right. Wow. Yeah, it was horrible just seeing all those people protesting over the weekend, guys. And watching people dressed in like little dinosaur suits, carrying, the rainbow flag. And again, I have nothing against homosexuality, but when you force it, when you try to teach transgenderism to our kids in school, I mean, that's pretty satanic, if you ask me. All right, so apparently they staged all the vandalism, right? And even at Trump affiliated properties to frame mega retaliation. That was all part of that. Synthetic viral footage using AI actors to claim right-wing attacks were also used. UN pressure campaigns to demand Trump's international censor under democracy endangerment clauses being traded by the I don't even know if I could pronounce this, but yeah, the non-government organizations. Attempted cyber shutoffs at Trump's direct network, including Truth Social routing nodes in Texas and Florida was also implemented, and all of this in motion. Okay, it was not organic at all, guys. It was not organic at all. Every step was financed. Okay, and some believe that it was even rehearsed in think tanks from Geneva to Tel Aviv to San Francisco. Excuse me. So, all of this is happening because they know that the white hat military is not only cleansing the deep staters and the criminal network, right, in all of these cities that have been financed by the deep state, but they're also conducting a global international cleansing of all criminal networks. So, when they didn't calculate, what they didn't calculate for is that the American people aren't who they were in 2020. Okay, and they know that. And millions are seeing through it now. They recognize the signs, the fake cries for democracy, the staged indignations, the paid activists flown in from blue cities. And I'm talking about these are what they called liberal funded cities, right? Trump's return wasn't just a political victory, my friends. It is the collapsing of the old guard, right? And of course, of their last firewall. It is the collapsing of their last firewall, which is awesome. And that's why they're desperate, right? That's why they're launching, let's just call them coups after coups, right? Let's just be real here. The empire is bleeding, okay? And so the mask is off and there are no more returns, okay? This is it. He's only been in office for 7-8 months, and he's just getting started. And it is my prediction that by the end of 2028 or sooner, the entire republic will be once again restored to the original Constitution. And yeah, these are the best times to be living in, my friends. These are the best times to be living in. So apparently, the far left and what's left of the deep state, they're not giving up without a fight. Okay. So I'm sorry to say this, guys, but one of the reasons why they are so close to implementing the EBS is because they know that these agitations are just going to get worse. Okay. And a lot of that has to do with all of the people that got that, right? The devil's injection, boost after boost. They're all being mind controlled by the cell phone towers. They're all being mind controlled by the golf, the frequencies that are coming from those cell phone towers. And that's another method of mind control, by the way. That's the most effective way of controlling a large number of people, okay? Which is, to me, very cynical, very sinister, and very pathetic when you ask me. Now, I also want to remind you guys, speaking about that, right, which is the devil's, mark, right? People that were coerced to take it. There is something that takes that out, and that's this. Okay, the Folium product is the Galactic solution to pretty much cleansing your body from all the nanoparticulates, all the graphene, all the smart dust, and even the stuff that we breed from the chemtrails and the stuff that we eat in the fruit. This is the only stuff that I believe has worked for me and many people. I have read the testimonials, and a lot of people are seeing results. I'm not going to lie, guys. I did have a small tumor before I started taking this product about over 2 years ago. And within a few months of taking this product, my tumor was dissolved. Okay. And I don't know what that was, but It was looking bad. Anyways, a lot of people that are on this stuff are seeing results. People who have stage 4C, if you know what I mean, this reverses that. So you won't be in need of, you know what I mean, CHE, Mo, key, you know what I mean, Mo, which is actually not good for you. So yeah, the link is always in the description, and I believe Starcadian is always putting the link in the chat. So make sure you guys also order all three products because they work better together. You take Folium PX for a month on an empty stomach, 30 minutes before a meal, 3 times a day, 1 pill 3 times a day. And then the following month, you're going to take Folium Immuna with Folium Relax together, 30 minutes before a meal on an empty stomach for better results. And within a week or two, you're going to notice the difference. You're going to notice the difference. So as you guys know, parasites also exist in a body that is heavily contaminated with metals. So when you rid your body from the metals, there's no habitat. There's no atmospheric conditions for the parasites to exist in. Okay, so it also helps to eliminate parasites. Radiation. We are being bombarded, okay? Not only through the cell phone towers, but the RF frequencies that are coming from these things, microwaves. For those that use microwaves, it is part of pretty much destroying us, right? It's part of keeping us ill, you know. So it also helps to take away the radiation in your body, and it allows the natural healing process of your body to take place. Get your Folium, guys. And from what I heard from Dr. Bobby Oren is that he's got new Folium that is actually more powerful, and he's got a new line of Folium designed to treat autism. Now, I am no doctor, right? Disclaimer, I am no doctor, but I've always believed in holistic, natural, homeopathic stuff. So just wanted to throw that out there. And don't forget to sign up for my courses, guys. My November classes, which began, I believe, the 4th week of November, the last weekend of November, are up for grab. Okay, I have Ascension 1.1, where I teach you not only the transition and the traits of going from 3D to 4D to 5D, but I also give you techniques, breathing methods, meditation tools that will help you achieve mindfulness. And then Ascension 2.0, I take it to the next level where I teach you how to connect with the quantum field. I teach you how to begin to interact with higher versions of yourself, right? I teach you how to activate the light bodies. And my latest course, Ascension 3.0, I teach you how to embody the cosmic self, which is very, very advanced. So I would suggest to start with Ascension basics for those that are just getting their feet wet, okay? For those that have been on the path for quite some time and you guys are like, just give me the tools and the knowledge that I need to activate myself and become my cosmic self, then take 3.0. Or I would start with 2.0 just so to make sure you could understand 3.0, okay? And anything else? My event. I'm excited about my event on the 22nd of November. That is the only in-person event that I'm going to be attending. I'm not going to be doing any other events probably for another year. And the reason being is because I want to take some time off to finalize a book that I've been working on for over 2 years, and it's going to take some time. So this is the only in-person event, right? I'm not going to be doing no more book tours for a while. So if you guys want to meet me in person, make an effort to come on the 22nd of November, which is a Saturday, Sedona, California, Sedona, Arizona. Sedona, Arizona. I'm still in the California mindset. Sedona, Arizona at the Cielo Connection. That's where I'll be on the 22nd of November from 1 to 5. And again, if you make it in person, you're going to be getting this workshop in person, and you get to meet me, which is awesome, for only $80. And then for those that can't make it, I do offer the stream through my website. And now, in order to get the stream, it's only going to be available for 100 people, so first come, first serve, you have to scroll past Ascension 3.0 class. Once you pass the Ascension 3.0 class, then you can access the stream for the event, right, on the 22nd of November. It's going to be mind blown. Now, another thing I wanted to correct was There was this guy that was interviewed on Gaia a few weeks ago by the name of Dominic, and he was interviewed by Colonel Randy Kramer, who was part of the SSP program. And in this interview, Dominic was saying that 3i Atlas is here to gather the starseeds, and they have 500 reptilians in stasis chambers that are ready to gather the starseeds. Now, this is all fear porn, okay? Now, I'm not saying that Gaia is not a good thing to watch, okay? Um, the show that I did with George Nori and the producers of that show are good people, okay? And I believe that's called Beyond Belief. And the only reason I didn't go back is just because they wouldn't pay me. And they did invite me to do a second interview on Gaia TV with George Nori, Beyond Belief, but I declined because I wasn't getting the money that I needed, right? It would require me taking 3 days off from my work to go to Colorado and shoot an episode with George Nori. Now, Cosmic Disclosure, on the other hand, and I believe that is being run by a corrupt person. I guess I could say his name by the name of Sid. What's his last name, hon? Forget his last name. He goes by the name of Sid. Goldberg. Sid Goldberg. And apparently, Sid Goldberg is a Luciferian. All right. He promotes Enki. And the guy who runs Cosmic Disclosure, and I believe it was with, what's his name? The chubby guy. I forget his name. He was also in the SSP. Come on, we met him at the alien event. He's
Emery Smith.
Emery Smith, right? Emery Smith is a part of that. Now, I'm not saying Emery Smith is a bad guy, but Sid Goldberg, the head producer of Cosmic Disclosure, is very corrupt. Okay, he's been taking advantage of a lot of females, from what I heard, and he's also connected to the guy that was arrested in Hollywood a few years back. What's his name? Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein. Okay, he was friends with Harvey Weinstein. So, yeah, the whole point is this: is that they interviewed this guy by the name of Dominic, who is spreading fears about 3i Atlas, saying that I believe his name is Dominic. No, what is it? Can you look it up for me? Sebastian. That's his name. They interviewed this guy by the name of Sebastian, who was saying that 3i Atlas is here to gather the starseeds, and that they are bringing an army of 500 reptilians that are in stasis. They're like hibernating in stasis. My friends, that is not true, okay? And that is being produced by no other than the corrupt faction of Gaia, which is, of course, it's called Cosmic Disclosure, which is being run by Sid Goldberg, who is very corrupt, and he takes advantage of women, okay? And again, he was friends with that Harvey, whatever his name was, Weinstein guy.
The man's called Sebastian Martin. He remote.
Okay. So apparently, this guy by the name of Sebastian Martin, he said he remote viewed Atlas, and they discovered that it's here to gather the starseeds, and because apparently he said that it has like 500 reptilians, 500 million that were in stasis, and that they were here to gather the starseeds or something like that. 5 million reptilians. Okay, that is all misinformation. So I just wanted to clarify that out there, because I know that this clip is gone viral on social media. I'm getting a lot of questions from people. Ishmael, is this true? Putting fear in people that they're here to take the starseeds? No, my friends, that is not true, okay? So don't believe what you guys hear through Cosmic Disclosure, which is one of the networks within Gaia, okay? Or one of the shows within Gaia. Now, again, I have nothing against Beyond Belief with George Nori. Those producers are good, all right? They are, in fact, from what I've heard, is that those producers are in conflict with Cosmic Disclosure, with Sid Goldberg, okay? So apparently, those are two different people. I have nothing against Beyond Belief with George Nori. That is a great show. It's just I have an issue with Sid Goldberg, because that guy is very corrupt and he's very Luciferian. Okay, yeah, just wanted to share that with you guys, to stay away from the fear porn and anything else. Yeah, for those that want to mail me anything, I do have a mailing address. For those that don't have Zelle and want to support my cause, my mailing address is 1771 West State Route 89A, Unit
Sweet B.
Sweet B,
Number 3015.
number 3015, Sedona, Arizona,
863.
86336. So that is my mailing address. Okay, you guys can mail me anything on that address. And I always post it in the comments, and I actually pin it for some of you. Now, before I take Q&A, I do want to give some shout outs to see who is in the house. And I do notice that there is over 3,000 people, patriots, freedom fighters, galactic Jedis are all in the house. Awesome. All right, so who's here? I see Mara Samuel, Lee Star, Eddie K, Patricia Secha, Jennifer Abernathy, Gabrielle F, Diana 77, Project Skyfalls, SC, Lee Star, Josephine Lynch, Heather J. Ritsenia, Jessica Love, Trinity Q, Sam Barton, Sonia Jett, Greg, Kathy M, Jackie, Cheryl, and of course, Starcadian, who is smashing them trolls or those NPCs, right? That's what they are. Sometimes I get a flow of NPCs that are just coming in here trying to, say negative things. So thank you so much for being here, Starcadian, and being my monitor. I appreciate that, brother, and keeping the chat high vibed. So with that have said, how many of you guys have questions for me? Because I hope to have answers. And again, I am the first to admit that if I cannot answer your question, I'll just tell you, hey, you know what? I don't have an answer to that question. Let me research it and I'll get back to you. So it's about that time, guys. Make sure you guys ask your questions in capital letters so that I could bypass the chat. We love Ishmael, Sweetie, and Kitty, says Nina Torres. Thank you, Nina. Appreciate that, sister. Now, first super chat of the evening. Thank you guys so much for the super chats, and they do help a lot. This is coming from Overcomer. Welcome, Overcomer. She says, finishing my first bottle of Folium this week. Thank you, Ishmael. You are so welcome. Again, guys, if you guys know people that have been, that got the, the devil's needle, I don't know what to call it. And Satan's syringe. And it's, and these spike proteins, and you guys live, even if you guys live with these people, the spike proteins are actually going into your body so that you guys have that too. So make sure you guys get this stuff. Okay. This is the only stuff. Or if you guys know somebody who has that stuff in their body, make sure you guys get Folium, because that is the only thing that eliminates all of that from people's bodies. Thank you for the super chat, Tina Bailey. She says, what happens if your frequency is higher than your spouse's when Ascension comes? That is a very good question, Tina. Can I get some water, hon, please? Well, okay, this is the thing. If you are on the awakening path line, right, and your spouse isn't, I'm sorry to say this, but when the timeline split occurs, the bifurcation, right, it's going to separate the negative timeline from the positive timeline. You guys are going to go your own way. You guys are going to be in two different realities, kind of like a rapture moment where one will disappear from the other. Thank you so much for the water, hon. So just make sure that you guys understand that. But don't be dismayed or don't be, upset about that, because in the positive timeline, you will meet somebody who is your match. You will meet another person who is on the positive timeline, who is more resonant with your vibe. Okay. So don't feel bad about that. That's what I'm saying. I do have a question from Ron Safrid. He says, Ishmael, will some folks have a small amount of DNA activated? What is the minimum amount of DNA? Well, I did a whole presentation on that, brother, Saturday, 2 nights ago. I talked about, depending on where the dimension that you volunteered from will determine how much DNA you activate. So do me a favor, Ron, if you could watch my presentation from Saturday. It's all there in detail, my friend. Good question, though. I do have another super chat from Tina Mac 1111. She says, is there still something happening October 30th? Well, I heard that 3i Atlas is going to be conjuncting in conjunction with our sun tomorrow, and will be right behind our sun in close proximity in 8 days on the 29th, or 9 days. So it's always best to be prepared, my friends. It's always best to be prepared. Okay, because as mentioned before, 3i Atlas, and the reason why independent astronomers are reporting that it is now glowing, by the way, 3i Atlas is now exerting a glow around it, which is more evidence that it's an intelligently driven, craft. There's a reason for that. That glow is because it's preparing to transmit the light codes or the new frequencies to the sun, so that in turn our sun transmits those frequencies to us. So as we approach the end of the month, make sure you guys are very hydrated, make sure you guys are grounded, and most importantly, yes please, make sure you guys stay away from fear porn, okay? Because your frequency will determine in which timeline you end up in. And I'm not saying that at the end of the month we're going to have the timeline split. I'm not saying that, even though we're very close to that. But all I'm saying is just be prepared. Thank you so much, Edward Wusik, for your donation. I appreciate that, brother. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, for my longtime subscribers and also for my new subscribers, for over a year, not only did I predict that Trump was going to win the election this past November when everybody else thought that it was going to be rigged again by the far left, but I also mentioned that he will be putting an end to all the wars, therefore making him eligible for a Nobel Peace Prize. So once he brings peace to Europe, which I believe, and that is part of the White Hat agenda, right? With this new meeting coming with Putin, and of course, if he gets Zelensky to join that meeting, that's going to be very successful. That's going to put him in a position to win the Nobel Peace Prize. So I've been saying that for over a year. I've been saying that Trump will be bringing peace to the world, and therefore deserving rather, right, a Nobel Peace Prize. So he will be winning that. That's my prediction, and I'm still holding very firm to that. I'm still holding very firm to that. Okay, guys? Oh, also, I heard that my good friend Charlie Ward was actually hospitalized, but he's doing much better. So I just wanted to let you guys know that Charlie Ward is doing much better. He had not been feeling good lately, and he had to go to the hospital, but now he's doing a lot better. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I know some of you guys found me through Charlie Ward, so thank you guys for being here. And I also wanted to thank all my new subscribers. Thank you guys so much for being here as well. More questions, more Q&A coming up. Again, I do want to thank all of you that are willing to super chat. That does help a lot. And again, if you super chat, you know for sure you're going to get your question answered. Cheryl says, praying for Charlie. All right, I'll let him know that. What's up?
Okay, baby.
Donald Hoover says, I found you through Charlie. Cool. You want me to show the kitties? Okay, come here, kitties. Come here. Come here, kitties. Let me see. Okay, so this is Rue. Rue and his I don't know if you guys could see his little Superman. He's got his little Superman shirt.
Oh, Lotus is scared.
Come here, Lotus.
Hmm.
Come here, Lotus. You don't like being on camera. He doesn't like being on camera. I could tell he's going to be the shy one. Look, here they are, the two kitties. Oh, they don't want to be on camera. Okay, fine. I mean, Lotus doesn't want to be on camera. Rue doesn't care. Rue sports his Superman shirt. Really cool. All right, just going to take random questions. Greetings, Ishmael. Can you please share your opinion about the wonderful Indian spiritual guru named Sadhguru, who seems to have an extremely positive impact on everyone? I've never heard of him, but if he's having a very good impact on everyone, then looks like he's a spiritual leader and he's doing a great job. I've never heard of him though, but yeah, anybody that uplifts people, anybody that has a positive impact on people, on my book is a light worker. Okay, they are here on a mission from God. Now, on the other hand, anybody who deceives people or who brings people down or who installs fear in people, they're playing the side of the dark. Okay, so if he's uplifting people, influencing them in a positive way, then more power to him. And from what I hear is most of the Indian spiritual gurus are actually really good. Tino Petroncio says he's sketchy guy. Hey, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Like I see in the comments, some people are for Charlie Ward and some people are saying he's not good. Like I said, we're all entitled to our own opinion. Cheryl says that Mr. Poole, I don't know who Mr. Poole is, said that EBS is going to be tomorrow. Okay, interesting. Heaven Sent 1208, thank you so much for the super chat. She says, thank you and Monica for always working hard to keep us updated. You guys are so welcome. You guys, again, it takes me hours to put these presentations together, sometimes a whole day. All right, I know I'm on here for only 90 minutes, but the work that goes behind the scenes to even execute this presentation takes hours. It takes hours. Ishmael, you missed Peekaboo Poro's 2 super chats. I don't see that person's super chat. I don't see it. I'm sorry. Nina Torres, thank you so much for your super chat, sister. She says, no question, just grateful for all your work. Oh, you are so welcome, sister. I have been following you for many years. Thank you, Nina. I appreciate that. She says, I found you through Tarot by Janine and Arcana Shores. Awesome. Oh, and by the way, I'm really good friends with both Kristen and Jason, who have reunited, by the way. And I've always been fond of them. Okay. So shout out there to Arcana Shores. Love that they have reunited once again. And a big shout out to Tarot by Janine. Oh, and really quick, guys, for those that take our Cosmic Origin class, which consists of 4 classes, it's a course, 4 classes. At the end of the course, which is the 4th class, By reading your energy, I'm able to tell you exactly your star origin and describe what star seed you are. Okay. So that's part of taking our cosmic origin course, is that in the 4th class, you get to find out if you're a star seed and what kind of a star seed you are. And again, you could access my classes through my website, ourcosmicorigin.com. And for those that have taken my October classes, class starts this coming Saturday and Sunday. So I can't wait to meet the new Galactic Jedis this coming weekend. For those that took my October courses, I will see you guys this weekend. Thank you so much, Sandra Hutchins, for the super chat. I appreciate that, sister. Okay, Peekaboo Perp says, respectfully unblocked Cosmic Zale. I'm sorry, but she's been saying a lot of distorted things that just don't align with me and my girlfriend. And I apologize for that, but I don't really. Again, for people that are going to be commenting negatively, not only will I remove your comment, but you're also going to get blocked. Okay. I want to maintain only positive energy on this platform. So I'm just throwing that out there. Okay. If you comment negative things, you're going to get removed, you're going to get blocked. So let's just stay positive and let's just keep our opinions to ourselves. I know that some people have an issue with me having a girlfriend. I don't even know why I'm allowed to have a girlfriend. I'm human. So just let me live my life, and just be on here for the intel. All right. Just be on here for the intel. My personal life stays my personal life. My public image, the intel that I give should be separate from my personal life. All right, Missy, thank you so much for your super chat. She says, knowledge is power. Thank you for the updates. You are so welcome, Missy. You are so welcome. Wow, this is a very generous super chat from A Grow for Change is saying, Ishmael, thanks for activating my consciousness through your dedication. Hard work and heart. Monica, beautiful meditation a couple of lives ago. We'll watch again. Likely few times. Inspiring team. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, brother. You're welcome. And again, guys, I take pleasure in the work that I do because I know that I am helping people in a positive way and I'm uplifting people. So that's why I enjoy what I do. Jackie Baby, thank you so much for your super chat. She says, I will be volunteering from November 20th to the 23rd. Can you record your conference so I can watch it later and put that on your website so I can pay for it now? Unfortunately, that's just going to be for the first 100 people. And that, I'm talking about the stream. The stream is only going to be limited to only the first 100 people for the November 22nd. I'm so sorry, but there will be no replay. Why Not 83 says, thanks for all your work, Ishmael. You are so welcome. You are so welcome. Isis, thank you so much for your super chat. She says, hi, brother. Is Xena, the warrior princess, Xena, the warrior princess, based on a real super soldier? I believe so. I believe so, that a lot of these so-called fantasy, sci-fi, whether they are TV series, movies, shows, they're all soft disclosure, guys. They're all soft disclosure, okay? I do want to welcome Jesus the Christ, overseer and adept of the first cosmic ray and the first creation. Michael the Archangel, overseer and adept of the 12th Clusian ray of power and rulership an overseer of the 12th creation, my books, The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, and of course, Our Cosmic Origin, both which are available on Amazon for all my new subscribers. Make sure you guys order my books. And also, if you have not read my books, by reading my books, it'll allow you to really understand more what I am saying on these lives. So make sure you guys order my books for those that have not read them. You mean Jeshua? Yes, Jeshua, Jesus the Christ. That's what I meant to say. Yes, Jeshua. I have another super chat from Franny Les 1206. Thank you so much, sister. She says, Ishmael, I appreciate your work and thank you for all that you do. You are so welcome, sister. You are so welcome. Christina Nardasi, who is one of my students, she took several of my courses, is saying that her frequency is rising higher and higher daily. Great affirmations. And again, for those that take my Ascension courses, it's not just a lecture. It's not just me giving you information. All right. It is interactive. And most importantly, I teach you the methods and techniques that you need in order to master yourself so that you could access higher levels of consciousness. A lot of great questions. And again, I noticed that some of my new subscribers ask me questions that some of my old subscribers have asked me already. So, for all my new subscribers, if you guys could watch my lives for the last year, a lot of your questions will be answered. Not to mention, you guys are going to get a whole lot of intel. Now, I do want to thank Thomas Day for his donation. Thank you so much, Thomas, for that. I appreciate that. And for those that didn't know, I do take Zelle donations, not PayPal, Zelle, through my primary email, projectrestorationzion@gmail.com. So for those that want to support my cause and you want to Zelle me, everything counts at this time. Thank you guys so much for that support. Thank you so much, Sandra, for that super chat. Appreciate that, sister. Isis, thank you so much for your super chat. Isis is asking, hi again. Since Jesus or Jeshua is the firstborn of heaven, what would Mary be? Well, if you take my course or if you read my book or Cosmic Origin, it's all answered there in great detail. But I will tell you anyways. She's the second born of heaven. And her original name was Lady Maria. And Lady Maria was in charge of the second creation, which was the universe where the Godhead expressed itself through the divine feminine. Okay. So again, read my book, Our Cosmic Origin, or if you want to go into greater detail, take my course, Our Cosmic Origin. But yeah, Lady Marija, was the second born of heaven. Thoughts on Reiki or kinesiology treatments? My son needs a medbed ASAP. Until then, looking for alternatives. Been undiagnosed for 5 years.
I'm sorry, Reiki and kinesiology are both practices where you're using an energetic current through the palms of your hands, which are chakras, and using symbols as well. Ishmael forgot, but we're Reiki 1 initiated. And I do suggest that for some etheric healing. It depends on what your son has got going on. But also in the case of kinesiology, which is muscle testing, it can more accurately read any sort of potential things that are going on with your son. So if you can go to a naturopath who does kinesiology muscle testing, they can more accurately read the organs and perhaps help your son with the maximum potential based on what they find is the root cause. So the angels that work with Reiki are also healing. You might want to also call on Archangel Raphael.
All right. Thank you for answering that question. And somebody's asking me, is investing in cryptocurrency even necessary? This is a question from Patricia Secha. And the answer to that is no, it's not necessary. In fact, you don't have to invest in anything, guys. I do have another super chat from David Essington. Thank you so much, brother. He says, did you hear Ghost Ezra said EBS will be on the 30th? No, I didn't hear that. So I guess Ghost Ezra is another truther on social media, I would assume.
Shadow of Ezra is supposed to be
Shadow of Ezra, is that what he goes by? Okay.
And that the date that's coming forward the most is tomorrow. Like
tomorrow
for the EBS.
Okay, so according to my lovey, see, my lovey, she always researches all these other truthers or influencers, and she says that this guy by the name of Shadow of Ezra is saying that the EBS could be happening either tomorrow or
the other people have also correlated the 21st.
The 21st, okay.
The 30th is what he's saying is something based on gematria here.
Oh, okay, I see. All right, so according to Ezra, we might be seeing the EBS sometime this month. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. If you want more info on that, go to my Telegram channel. Some good information with 3 O's in good.
Thank you, Nathan Taylor, for your super chat. He says, so will everyone have powers by the end of 2028, or will there still be 4D humans running around with no powers? Both. Again, I would suggest to watch my presentation on Saturday. I broke it down very specifically. Only the old souls are going to have these abilities. The Earth Terrans, the younger souls, are not going to have these abilities. However, they're still going to be upgraded to live for a few hundred years with no illnesses. All right. But yeah, and then there's also going to be different levels of upgrades and exaltations. So, Nathan, I would suggest to watch my presentation on Saturday. I go into great detail. And the title of that is The Rise of the Galactic Humans, New Earth. The Dawn of the Galactic Human, New Earth. That's the title of my presentation on Saturday. Prince Royal is asking me, Ishmael, when are med beds going to be available for the public? I'd rather go in a med bed than see the dentist. I feel you on that. All right. I don't want to give any time frames, but there is a huge possibility that as of the 1st of January, 2026, we might be seeing the rollout of med beds nationwide. And that also includes Canada and other countries. But I also believe that maybe it's all going to be happening all at once when they do implement the EBS. Think about it. They first have to conduct a massive public arrest of what's left of the deep state or the globalist. And then once they do that, then they could roll out these advanced healing modalities. It just makes more sense. So who knows? I mean, if the Shadow of Ezra I guess, is correct according to some of the people here that research Shadow of Rezra. If the EBS goes down in the next few days or by the 30th, then we might be seeing medbeds within 2 weeks. So it all depends. Again, it's all kind of, it's all happening at the same time, in other words. All right, I do have time for just one more question, guys. I've been broadcasting for 90 minutes. What's your favorite food and drink? Um, I like steak. I like steak and eggs with avocado and berries. And drink, I like green tea. Green tea is my favorite. I guess I could take one more question. Do you need to open a QFS account? This is a question from Sheila Pena. No, you don't need to open that. You don't. Again, you don't need to invest in anything. The quantum financial system, which is going to be working parallel with the quantum freedom grid, is going to be able to read your vibration. So the bigger your heart is, the more compassionate you are, the wealthier you're going to be. All right. All right, guys. I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your evening. Don't forget to like and share this with as many people as possible. It keeps the channel growing. And I will see you guys in 2 days for another update. May the God force be with you all.